Peace, welcome to my video. This is my 1 year and 7-day check-in with No Nicotine. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about what one can get from quitting nicotine. This will not only be about what one can get from quitting nicotine, but it'll also have to do with other substances and other behaviors that one might want to, move on from. And I've talked in previous videos before about what one can expect, what happens, and really a lot of other things when it comes to quitting nicotine. And if this is your first time on my channel, subscribe, welcome, thanks for being here. And if you're a returning viewer, then welcome back. I appreciate your support as always. And let's get right into this video. So, mentally, what one can get out of quitting nicotine is, like I've said before, a sense of mental freedom. What you'll get is the space needed for you to experience new spaces when it comes to mentally, new thought forms, new thought patterns, that is, as well, because as soon as you stop using nicotine, you'll automatically stop having those as much thought patterns of surrounded by consuming nicotine and surrounded by your so-called use or addiction. And then when it comes to, new thought patterns, well, now that you're not paying attention to what you were before, now you'll be paying attention to new things that are beyond just the nicotine, or beyond that behavior, or beyond that substance that you're trying to detach from. You get a lot of mental clarity, and you'll realize that, the whole time, really, my mental state of being was not necessarily benefiting from the nicotine. It's just that perceived perspective that is there because, it serves, ideally, the nicotine helps you to be mentally focused, and or really it's just mentally stimulated, and to have something like is what I think it is, rather than being focused or anything like that. I think it's having you be mentally stimulated, and then that in turn is what makes the, one focus. But it's only for a short amount of time. I mean, the nicotine's not affecting you for a very great amount of time, but, it's affecting the mental state of being, and it's affecting the mind by having the mind rely on that, having the mind be used to having that crutch when it comes to mentally putting you in that mental state of being. So one will get freedom from that when they go without nicotine. One will get mental freedom from those thought patterns that are recurring, and will start to detach from that when it comes to mentally, and when it comes to getting off any substance, when it comes to getting rid of any, behavior that one may be wanting to eliminate. So those are a few things of what one will get from quitting nicotine when it comes to mentally. I will add that you'll want to now apply your new mental state of being to other things. So for example, I'll just give you guys an example when it comes to me personally. I am now mentally applying myself towards multiple things that are beyond, like I said, my nicotine use. And that kind of is what I got out of quitting nicotine when it comes to mentally. Now I'm more invested into other stuff that keep me mentally stimulated, not at the degree of, I always have to use this to get into that space when it comes to mentally. Or I'm always able to get through it so long as I have my crutch or whatnot to get through it when it comes to mentally. So now, a lot more mentally stable, a lot more mental strength, and a lot more mental stability is what one will get from quitting nicotine. We also get mental peace. when it comes to it, you're not going to be worried about needing any nicotine, about wanting any nicotine, or wanting that substance that you're trying to get rid of. Once you detach from it, you're going to start to not have the anxiety around it when it comes to mentally, not have those recurring thought patterns, and that all around is going to allow you to move forward when it comes to your path that you're on and through your experiences that you're a part of. So what can one get from quitting nicotine when it comes to physically? And let's start off with the basics. Let's start simple. Is, well, your lung health's going to improve. You're not going to be inhaling. There's smoke from cigarettes and from cigars. That's smoke. But then there is, and I really call it all the same. It's a form of air. But then there's vapor, which is like it's called, vapor, not smoke. And they're saying, vaping, because it's a vapor, it's different than smoking. You got to make sure you know the difference. And I've been getting into it on Twitter with these Twitter feeds that people will, because I'm always on Twitter, and if you guys want to check out any of my social medias, I'll probably put them in the description. They're not in every description in every video, but they're in a few while back. But anyways, you should check out my Twitter, see what people have been saying with me, see what these arguments and debates have been about. And I've been basically going at it with supporters and advocates of big pharma and big nicotine. And big nicotine in terms of promoting vaping and advocating vaping is what they do because it helps stopping smoking. And my argument to that, my counter is, well, I'm literally stopping that at the root cause. Me advocating for the moderation and or absence and just getting rid of use of nicotine stops that problem at the root cause. And you can see it on there for yourself. It shows what these people have said, that I'm actually doing more harm. And so I told them, how am I doing more harm when it comes to I'm actually doing what's right. So anyways, but it's because they're in a bias, they're in a perspective where they can't see past that. So but anyways, there's a lot more information, there's a lot more interactions that happened that I want to speak about on, let's say, the app Twitter. And I will make a video on it, kind of debunking, or not debunking, but exposing these conversations in maybe short form videos. So it's like one Twitter thread and one debate and just one video, and then I make another video for the next one, and I'll have it topicked, like, let's say what I was just talking about, like why are big nicotine being so promoted versus, let's say, my stance of talking about the non-use side of substances. And like I said, you guys will see that they're pretty much in their biases on that app, and it's expected. My partner always said that Twitter is an app where people are always a little bit biased when it comes to that. They always think that they're right, per se. And I definitely have been seeing that play out and unravel over recently with getting in these debates on people when it comes to the topic of nicotine. And so, like I said, going back to what I was saying, I know I got off on a tangent there, but anyways, physically, what can one get out of it? Well, the lung health, the benefits from that, and the perceived benefits of that are from, you at one point you were breathing in, and to the point of smoke or vapor, I think that it's all in the same, that it's not air. It's all in the same, that it's not what you're here and meant to supposed to be breathing when it comes to biologically what you have in your body. It's meant to breathe in air. So automatically when you do stop physically, you are going to benefit from the intake of oxygen and the decrease in intake of vapor or smoke if you're smoking cigarettes or cigars, but vapor if you're vaping. I just say vaping because it's a lot more prevalent, and it's a lot more deceptive in my perspective, and it's a lot more easily to get younger people hooked on it. People that are more susceptible to addiction and to harm are more likely to, and that are more influential, or not influential, but easily influenced is what I mean to say. So that's why I say it like that, but it is, when it comes to nicotine in general, you'll realize physically your lung health will improve. You will definitely be able to physically sleep better. Physically, I noticed that sometimes the process of buying a vape would almost throw my body off physically, because I'd be going through, a withdrawal, and then I'd grab the nicotine again, and it would either mess up my stomach, or, physically I'd be so dependent on the nicotine that I needed the nicotine, or I at least thought I needed the nicotine. And this could have been an illusion, but to, pass bowel movements, because it helps in that sense of terms. And not only that, but, I could still do it without it, but I had thought like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so much easier to physically do that. Even though it's a little bit strange, but other people will experience that too. And I've talked to other people who have experienced that too. But more importantly is, you don't need it for stuff like that. And also for, like I said, sleeping, you'll improve once you go without the nicotine. Alongside with that, when it comes to your gut health, is your diet will start to improve, because not only are you not ingesting those chemicals, whatnot, substances, and whatever is in it, and whatever is in it is getting into your system, then it's going to be probably affecting your appetite. Nicotine, they say, is a suppressant of appetite, so you'll realize your appetite will get better. Alongside other things, like I said, sleeping will get better. You'll be able to enjoy your workouts more, because you're breathing better, you're getting more air, you're not as tired the whole time. And when it comes to what one can get physically out of quitting nicotine, is an abundance of health, an abundance of life, and a want to exist more physically when it comes to other actions that are not getting this physical satisfaction like that, that you get with smoking cigarettes or smoking nicotine or vaping nicotine. So what one can gain physically is totally separating from that world and starting a new era when it comes to your physical plane of existence, and what actions you're okay with, what actions you are involved with. And like I said, you're going to be stopping doing one thing physically, so that's going to open up doors for you to do other things when it comes to physically. And it's up to you to have these things that you're doing to be right by you, and to not be things that are also going to put you back into a state of over excessive using of the nicotine, or let's say physically being dependent on a substance again. Allow this process of detaching from nicotine when it comes to physically to allow you to not just go a little while and then get back on the nicotine, or just but allow it to help you implement moderation in other things that you're doing, so that if the case may be you ever want to subscribe to that again or involve yourself in those actions, you now know how to be more moderative. You now know how to not let things get carried away when it comes to physically. Alright, what one can get when it comes to emotionally out of quitting nicotine, out of going without a substance, out of detaching from a negative action, and emotional clarity is a very present thing. And also you'll get what I think happens with most substances and most activities, and just when you change an action, you'll feel this excess of energy, whether it's in form of anxiety, excess energy, anger, passion, whatever that may be, it will show up, and I guarantee it will. 1 second. I want to touch on that subject. So when it comes to emotionally, like I said, feeling that excess energy that you'll feel, pay attention to that, because that energy is purely intuitive, and it's pure intuition when it comes to emotional intelligence as well. So pay attention to what you're feeling when you feel that excess energy, because a lot of times you'll get tapped into extremely intuitive vibrations, energy, wave frequencies that you'll feel from the existence. And I'll have something to tell you guys that happened to me recently, just because I implemented moderation when it comes to THC consumption. But I'll get to that example in a second. And with this excessive energy, you'll realize that you can do anything with it. You can allow it to help your state of being when it comes to mentally. You can allow it to help your state of being when it comes to physically. You can allow it to help your state of being when it comes to emotionally. Also when it comes to spiritually. You will start to grow with those feelings, those new emotions that you're experiencing, and now you can better react to the world that you're in, better have those emotional reactions. And now when you do have the tough, knee-jerk reactions, or when you're feeling that, anger, passion, desire to, let's say, anxiety, anything that you may feel emotionally, you'll be able to now understand, okay, I can feel that, and now I can move on from that. I don't have to stay fixated in that, whereas with the nicotine, you were very fixated on being attached to nicotine when it comes to emotionally, having emotional attachments. Once you start to get rid of that nicotine, or whatever substance or behavior that is, you'll start to feel like you don't want to be so emotionally attached to things. Only emotionally attached to things that are benefiting you, not things that are holding you back. And so the example when it comes to emotionally, this excess energy and how it can tap you into intuition and being very emotionally intellectual and intelligent and aware in general is, so the other night I was working kind of in a different area than I'm normally working, and that alone is going to, like I've said on this channel, whenever you travel somewhere, you go to a place that you either haven't been for, or that you've been there before but it's been a while and you don't go there all the time, you're going to be tapped into a new energy, and that's going to be the energy of the place you're in and the consciousness of the place you're in, because of the people, places, and things that you're around now just carry a different energy and a different area with different streams of consciousness. And that's another thing too that'll be interesting to get into. I'd love to break down a video when it comes to that, like different streams of consciousness when it comes to going state to state, or really just region to region when it comes to worldly traveling, or worldly when it comes to moving around, when it comes to internationally. But like I said, I was in a different area, so I was already kind of tapped in, but then I was implementing a moderation where I was going without. Like I said, this could be anything for you guys, any action, any substance use, or anything that you want to get rid of. But in my case, it was THC consumption. So I went without it, and I was able to be tapped into when it comes to mentally, spiritually, and physically. But get this, guys, emotionally, I was feeling the emotions of, oh, this is a losing battle. I don't feel like this is going anywhere. I feel like the world's going against me right now. I feel like there are, not just the world, I feel like there were specific individuals that were throwing energy my way, and it was like this. I had another emotional, and it was making me think, so I was like, dang, I do all this for this to get thrown in my face and for people to disrespect me even more. And you know, I knew that people were interacting with my Twitter posts that I had posted that day, but I didn't know it was to the extent of being, let's not say I felt like I was getting ganged up on, but what was happening was I was getting ganged up on, like I said, by people that support Big Pharma when it comes to nicotine, and also Big Nicotine, and advocates and supporters of, oh, I'm a vapor for life because it helped me get off smoking. And I'm like, that's stupid, because you still are addicted to nicotine, and detrimentally addicted. That's up to you to decide, but you're still at the end of the day addicted to nicotine. So anyways, I'm going about doing my business. Before I even checked any responses from the Twitter feed and from my post, I was like, you know what, for this to be getting thrown in my face, for people to be saying, oh, you know what, why are you treading on all of us? Like, but what I'm actually doing is getting this information out there and, you know, consistently staying on this path. Oh, how could you ruin this for us? How could you ruin this for us? Well, I'm just telling the truth, and if the truth is hurting, then at the end of the day, that's not my problem. I'm only here to deliver the truth and to only speak the truth. So I was going without, haven't even looked at those posts, and I'm like, you know, how is this getting thrown in my face? You know, after all I've been through and anything like that, and I come to realize, you know, I don't have to necessarily be against these people. All I have to do is, if they have an opposing view of mine, then that's so be it. I've got to continue to spread the truth, regardless of how that makes someone feel. And so, you know what? I came to those conclusions, and I was feeling a little bit of that opposing resistance energy, and I knew it. I knew something was going on. It felt like there was a lot of interacting when it came to my bodies, when it comes to existing, like when it comes to my spiritual body or my soul, when it was interacting. And physically, I was in an area where I was aware of this, and then mentally, I was, you know, thinking and having these conversations in my head. And then, of course, emotionally, I was being able to be in tune and be intuitive enough to know, okay, this is what's possibly going on. Even though you don't know right now, you're out, you're working, you can't check these apps per se, or you can't really tend to that internet activity that's going on. And, well, it was really just happening in the world and then through the internet, but it starts with the starting point of we're in the real world and we're experiencing it. So I was feeling that energy, and I get off, you know, I'm out of work, and I come to my phone and I see all this Twitter feed of people going at me about, you know, what I've said about vaping, what I've said about nicotine, how I'm wrong, how I have no clue, how I'm no different than Hitler, I'm no different than Stalin and other people. I will show you guys these these tweets, just so you guys can see for yourself, as long as these people who have gotten in arguments with me don't delete them. But I'll make sure, maybe I'll screenshot them just in case. But yeah, I'll release the videos. They compared me to that, and it's like, that is the most sick comparison. And I told them, I said, never would I have thought that I'd be compared to a dictator and someone, not only that, but Hitler, who genocided millions of people, and for promoting people's health, for promoting the betterment of well-being of others. And I said, well, wait, it does make sense, because I'm speaking to people who are continuously biased under, they are subscribed to nicotine, they are in full support of it, so their biases are showing through. And that's just an example of what happened. And that one was most recent, but they were saying, you know, you're wrong for this. You don't know what you're talking about. There's a difference between smoke and vapor. And I said, you know, I was saying that in regards to, it's not what you're meant to be breathing in. Not that, oh, let's get down to the details and let's get into our biases and whatnot. But let's talk about what's actually facts and what's actually truth. So that's a huge thing that one can get from quitting or going without, going on a path of self, a betterment of self. Out of that is definitely that intuition, that burning intuition. Let me tell you, that was some wild experience right there. Just feeling that intuition and being able to tap in and then see that, oh, okay, this is what was going on. This is why I felt that way. Because this was going on, this was occurring. Even though I was detached from that, I was still able to decipher and to almost sense and come up on that senses of really exactly what energy was being thrown my way. Yeah. So moving on. When it comes to what one can gain and what can get from quitting nicotine or getting rid of, eliminating a certain substance use that's holding you back, or any negative action, toxic action towards self and or towards others, is, spiritually having and being in your power when it comes to spiritually. Whereas before, when you were giving up your power of choice, your power of decision to some other entity, some other oversoul, or some other energetic, let's call it stream. I really like to call it almost like an ocean, because it holds a lot. It's an energy there that other people are involved in, that it's always constantly feeding into. And in this spiritual existence that we're in, we'll have people doing anything for it, and that's not right. You're not supposed to serve anything like that. When it comes to physically, you should be more stepping into spiritually, what are my natures, spiritually, what are my values, spiritually, what are my virtues, spiritually, what's my purpose, spiritually, what is my path, and connecting more to that than the toxic existences or toxic spiritual systems, or let's say overriding things. And just give an example, there's Christians out there that are calling themselves religious or whatnot, or anyone that follows Jesus and or the Bible's teachings, that are using Lost Mary vape products. And I have on my community post that I'm going to come out with a video soon, breaking down, talking about, really exposing why vape company Lost Mary and how its effects are on a percentage level of the population, and that being those who use those products. But I'm just saying right now, there's Christians that will use a Lost Mary, and let's just say Lost Virgin Mary to jog your memory, that are using those products just blindly. So don't tell me that, oh, I'm religious, I'm holy, and Jesus died for my sins, I can do whatever I want. At the end of the day, you're totally going against what you call yourself and what you actually believe in. So that's a hypocrisy in itself. You're a walking contradiction. That's just something I wanted to share. And like I said, that video will be coming out soon. Stay tuned to that. I'm the first one to come out with that concept. No one else has even thought of that. I'm sure maybe it's come across someone's mind, but to the depth and to the breakdown that I'm going to do, I'm going to be the first one coming out with that information. And spiritually, I know that information is protected because that's my intellectual property, and I know that I'm protected when it comes to mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. So spiritually, it's about getting into the things that are more true and more right for your spiritual existence. To put you onto the right spiritual plane of existence, you should detach from those, let's say, spiritual systems that are dependent on something other than being accountable of yourself, and truly knowing that. I would step away from those, because you should have your own spiritual system. Who's to say that someone before you knows what's right for you? And that's just like saying, oh, other people are doing this. Other people who, I never say that there's a direct link between spirituality and drug use, because anyone can have a connection when it comes to their connection to their spirit, because, well, you are your spirit. So the stronger it will be once you are able to shed all the things that are holding you back from experiencing that true spiritual state of existence and that spiritual state of being. But like I said, one can get from stopping the use of nicotine or any substance or any negative action or behavior is spiritually, being in a new space and a spiritual sense of freedom is a big one. And like I said, I'm not here to cast judgment amongst anyone. I'm only here to bring the truth and to share the truth on this platform, and I'm going to continue to do so. So yeah, like I said, that video on Lost Mary will be coming out. It's going to be a big truth bomb. It's going to be some great information. It's going to be deep. It's going to be exposing some of the deceit and lies that are out there. But yeah, look forward to that. I'm looking forward to that, guys. Like, comment, subscribe to the video, show some support. Power to you. And that's going to be it for this 1 year and 7 day check-in.